And we're back yet again on the cat engine. Here we go. Starting off right away, we're going to get the intermediate cover off today. And when we get the intermediate cover off, I'm hoping to just finish the whole thing up today. I really want to see what the pistons look like. So let's get into it. First thing we're going to do, first thing that's got to come off is the idler gear. Just slides right off. Bushing inside looks good. As I said in the last video, the backlash was good, so I think that's a good gear right there. I think all these are going to be just fine. All the timing marks are on it. That's important. Alright. So the next thing I got to do is get in here and unfold all these fold-over locks that are behind the accessory shaft and the camshaft. That right there is the definition of pointless. If you don't fold down that tab on the right, folding the other one up against the bolt is going to do nothing. Same thing on this one. The first thing we're going to take out is the camshaft. For one thing, a little bit of rust on that gear. It looks like it's mostly surface rust. I sure hope it is. And it's just that one spot. The rest of it looking pretty good. Anyway, camshaft is held on by its thrust plate with two 9/16 bolts and unfolded fold-over locks. Here we go. Let's see if we can slide this thing out gently. There we go. So the accessory shaft and the hub for the idler gear are hooked up by this oil tube. So I'm going to remove them at once, and to do that I'm going to undo the 3 bolts holding that on, and then I'll do the 3 bolts holding the accessory shaft on. Just like that. Alright, so more fun here. I got the all the fold-over locks unfolded and all the bolts out that hold the intermediate cover onto the block, so we're ready to take that off. And I just noticed more fun in the fold-over lock department. Yet another fold-over lock not properly utilized. It's getting a little aggravating at this point. I'm starting to wonder how this thing stayed together, because these bolts will unscrew from all the vibrations. That's why you always see either lock washers or fold over locks or something getting used. There's a reason for that. So get it off that one stud. Like that, we're like 40 pounds lighter on the block, but we're almost done. I think we might even get to see what condition the pistons are in today. And this is a question I've been wondering because there are different styles of pistons, and this engine has been gone through, so I don't know what style's in there, which means I can't order and or make rings for it. So hopefully we can find that out soon. So the next big thing we gotta do, I already did an end clearance check on this. I don't think I'm going to do a running clearance check on it because I'm pretty sure we're going to have to make new bearings anyway. And I can just do that by miking and bore gauging instead of plasti gauging. And I think that's the route I'm going to go, especially since everything is really cold right now. I'm not going to get the best numbers. I'd like to have things at a more nominal temperature for checking that. So the next thing I'm going to do is I got to get set up to pull the back main bearing out. It doesn't really come out by hand. We're going to have to set up a puller for it. So. Alright, so last thing we're going to do here today is we're going to pull the pistons out. I got a little excited and pulled one out already, but I did learn some stuff so far. So I pulled out number 2, and first of all, that might be the wrong ring. Do have one stuck ring, one oil control ring. Assuming this is an incorrect ring, it looks like they took the same ring as these top 2 compression rings and just put it in there, because I believe there's supposed to be a little step in there, but I could be wrong. One of the oil control rings is stuck on this piston, but the rest are all free. And the other thing I learned is that this is the dreaded two-piece piston that the top part screws on so that there can be this steel portion, cast iron portion in the middle. So that's not good news, but the good news that comes from the bad news is that the rings for this piston are easier to find than for the other piston style that was all aluminum. So it's bad news in the fact that this is a less reliable piston. However, these ones so far seem to be all good. You'll see a crack on the top if they are starting to go, and I never saw any when I was looking at the top side, so I think we're going to be okay, and we should be able to get rings for them. Alright, number one. These are all pretty free, so it comes out no problem. Everything's all nice and free. Rings look pretty good. This one, it's a little easier to see. Man, that's a clean piston. But it's a little easier to see that cast iron section in the middle there. Number three. Piston's all looking good so far. I believe number three was the really pitted one. Nope. Number two was the really pitted one, and that was the one that has stuck ring. All these good and free. It's not going to rust, but last but not least, number four. A little bit of residual rust on this guy too. All the rings are free. A little bit of crud on the top. If you remember, there was a little puddle of coolant and oil in there. Not bad though. So we're going to wrap up real quick here because I'm running out of battery on the camera, but that's all we're going to tear down for now. Most of these cylinder liners, other than number two, don't look bad at all. Number four is not great, but definitely still need to be replaced. But what else we did learn today is that the bearings are looking a little crummy. It is aluminum bearings on the mains and rod bearings. So this engine's definitely been reworked. However, the pistons, weren't the good style, but they are in good shape, and we can get new rings for them, which I probably will do just because we're that far. I'm probably going to put the new rings in them and save those rings in case I ever have to do one of these again, which I'm hoping I'm not, because I don't think I'll ever buy another J Series D2 just because of the scarcity of parts for them. I mean, it's really hard to find most anything for this. Most of the parts that you can still get for this are just the parts that were crossable between a U series and a J series, like the oil pan gasket and stuff like that. But like bearing, rod bearings and connecting rod bearings and main bearings, almost impossible to find. Piston rings for the original pistons, can't find them. All sorts of stuff that you would think would be easy to find for any other engine is pretty hard to find for this one. Whereas parts for U series, even though everything's not still available, it is a lot easier to come by parts for them. And I would like to get another D2 one day to use as like a bulldozer, something with a blade. But hopefully it'll be a U series because these are getting harder and harder to rebuild every day. But that's as far as we're going to take it down today. There's going to be one last video before this goes out to paint, and we're going to pull the cylinders out. I got to finish making my puller tool for that when I go to the shop tomorrow. So that's why we're not going to do it today. It's pretty straightforward, but pretty interesting. And then we got to clean out the water jackets and get this thing all scraped and washed and ready for paint, which is happening next week, I think. They haven't called me back yet, but there's a good chance it'll be next week. So I'll make sure this is ready when they call me so that we can get it in right away. And then once we get it in for that, it's going to be finally time to start putting parts back together. As always, guys, thanks for watching. I appreciate it. Hopefully we got more coming up real soon.